was the master plan of Chicago. He is called the Burnham Plan. You see the open and clear space on our rivers, our bridges, our underground, our L trains, elevated trains, 26 miles of open and clear space on our lake, and we have over 26 beaches in Chicago that are graded everyday preference. Now that's Daniel Burnham. Now this building's called Gateway 1. What do you think the next building's called? Gateway 2 and Gateway 3. You're with me, good job. So remember I told you there was train letters you see the building? Well, you guys see the Amtrak? There you go. Train right there. If you guys look in the light, you can see the diesel fuel there. But can you imagine in the day when these trains are going, trying to work in that building and focus and then smell that diesel fuel? Well, guess what? These buildings are soundproof and smell-proof. Now, why are they called the gateways? It's the gateway to the Midwest. You guys ready to see the tallest building here in Chicago? Here we go. Coming up on your left-hand side. Captain Marcus is going to spin the boat directly in front of the building. So everybody has their phone ready. You're going to get a beautiful picture. And also when we turn the boat around, it's a good time to go downstairs because it's probably the last call for alcohol and beverages downstairs. There is a full bar downstairs. It's always nice in the city. My locals, they're on their third or fourth cocktail right now. All right, you guys ready? Get excited. Who's been to the top of this building? Yes, a few of you. Get excited. I went up here 2 weeks ago for the third time. It's a good time. All right, here we go. 1,454 feet tall, that building. You see those 5 glass boxes? 25,000 people go up there every day. You guys see the antenna up there on that building? That building does not count for the height, the antenna, because it's removable. Those are actually communication televisions. Now, look at the building. See there's square boxes? There's actually 9 square boxes. This building moves 18 inches each way on a windy day. In fact, the toilet bowl will switch. Now, she just celebrated 50 years old a couple months ago. Now, who is the architect? The architect is Skidmore, Owens and Merrill. At the time, Adrian Smith worked for him. Now, how did they come up with the design of this building? Cigarette smoking, very popular in the 1920s all the way to the 1990s. Look up at the building in a minute. But when you get a pack of cigarettes in this building, you open it up on the corner of the pack of cigarettes, you put the pack of cigarettes over, tap it on your finger, what comes out? 2 to 3 cigarettes. Tubular construction. Something so simple, and yet it works so well. What do you guys think? Pretty amazing, huh? So that is actually the tallest steel construction building in the world. Number 2 would be the Empire State Building, is the second steel construction building. It is the 13th tallest building in the world today. Now, back in the early 1990s, I think it was 1999, General Salon here in Chicago, he put on a fireman outfit. He didn't go to something. He started at 3 a.m. in the morning, climbed all the way to the top of Sears Tower. Don't mind the building. All right, this building, the Mercantile Exchange, used to be the old Exchange building. Now look at this building in the middle. This middle portion actually supports the two columns. You see the zigzag formation up at the top? Why is that? When people work in the city, everybody wants a window view. That way we get 16 offices with a window view. Now structural engineers, my young people on the road, look at this. This bridge house right here on the right side, it is 100 years old. Look at the roof of that bridge house. It is inches from that building. And they calculate their math correctly. They sure do. Can you tell the age grade math teacher? Yes, yes. Should have been an engineer. All right, look at this building. This is the Opera House. Now, if you guys look on the building, there's over 70 different faces. See if you can find all the faces on that building. This is the home of the Joffrey Ballet. Now, this is the back side of the building. In the front is French Renaissance inside. Art Deco is over 80,000 people inside there. I think West Side Story. If you love ballet, I didn't like ballet. I think it was incredible. look over here to your right side. This is our newest complete building on the water, Bank of America. Remember the building with 150,000 gallons of water on rollers? Same architect? Yes, it's partners. Now you see these X beams right here? They're called caissons. We go 100 feet down below, 6 levels of bedrock before we build up. Notice free and clear access to the water. I've been passing this restaurant for a year and a half. It's called Bar Mar. Now, way over my price, but I do. I'm going to go have a cocktail. Maybe I can afford a cocktail in there. You can sit at our restaurant and you can reservations. Every one of our restaurants have a bar. It's first come, first served. But if you go there, they have a dry ice cocktail license, so they're made out of dry ice, and they're only $60. Their food very expensive but good. But you can go sit at the bar and have a cocktail. Now Starbucks, where was the first Starbucks? Seattle. Who has the largest Starbucks reserve in the world? Chicago. Who's been there? Yes, yes, it's 5 stories, 10-minute walk from the dock. Oh, desserts, breakfast, even a bar on the 5th floor. Now look over here. In the 1800s, remember none of these buildings were here. In the 1860s, we put up a temporary setting called a wigwam. This is where we nominated our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. Anybody know what president grew up in 1600? Ronald Reagan. Oh, bless you, somebody. All right, look over here. Back in the movie. So the next show was at 9:30, the game show. Now this is our river walk. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at all the locals in the chairs here. Now in 2017 this was completed. Now we're going to go out to the lake, not on the lake, but we're going to go see it. It's 1.3 miles to walk from here. Now you guys see all the chairs? Beautiful. The city puts those chairs out every May. The first one day we get. And in October, November they take those chairs away because remember that there makes returning. But 3 weeks ago today, you know where those chairs were? They were in the river. Our river flooded 3 weeks ago. We had over 5 inches of rain. If you TikTok it, you can see all the chairs in the river. Or Google it. Now look at this building, 333 West Wacker Drive. Now see how it bends with the river? That's called contextualism. This was one of the most beautiful buildings on the water. Now a movie was filmed here 37 years ago. Dad was in his office working away. His son was skipping school. What movie was filmed there? Good job. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You officially forgot the boat. How's everybody doing? Okay? Did it go by fast? We only have 15 minutes left. I know, too fast, huh? Alright, look over here. So remember I told you the largest movie screen in the world? That's the projector. See how many volts and so it's local artists. And it's everything down in Africa. So very cool. You guys didn't even know that movie was coming. Look at all the people. This is great. This city is incredible. You see why I love for the city? Yeah. Okay. What do we call this silver thing under the bridge? That's called an eyelash. Why do we call it an eyelash? It protects the people walking underneath the bridge from the wind falling on them. Now look at this building here. It's one building, but notice on the left, it's different from the right. That's called postmodern. We're honoring the old versus the new. Now there's a little water park down here. In fact, my favorite gelato. So tomorrow night, at the movie, 9 o'clock, we'll get gelato. The best food you can eat. So I It was built in 1920 during Prohibition. You could buy commercial alcohol. There is a group of cars there called the Henry Hotel. It is closed tomorrow night. Let's go over there. Once you get over this bridge, look over your right shoulder. I forgot to tell you about the Jewelers Building. See with the temples on top? You guys know the Jewelers Building from Batman? Also back in the day. This is the London Guarantee. That's the insurance building. It's now home of Hilton Hotel. This is the Olympic Tower. It's called Matter Tower. It's the oldest building in the world for only 10 days. It was growing so fast. Yeah. Beautiful rooftop garden behind the house. And then you get to the terrible service. You guys know the ocean. I think the 5 times, and that's what's about the Now look over here. The Ripley Building, get this picture. It's Intercontinental Chicago Tribune. That's a beautiful picture to get. Incredible. Look at this pretty gorgeous, right? Gorgeous. This is the new Tahoe Bridge. This is the lowest bridge we're going to go over. And this bridge is 103 years old. It was 15,000 tons. That's the size of a 747 airplane with 500 people on it. Look over here to the left side. You guys all know the Apple Store. It was completed in 2016. What's that for you? On that Apple Store. $1,000 a piece for each piece of glass on that building. Now you know why you're so cool about it. You can have a little fun on this too, right? My phone is the old iPhone from my Alright, look over here. This is the Hyatt Regency. It's a largest hotel here in Chicago, over 2,000 rooms. In fact, when people take our tour, yes, we're open all year round. Instead of beginning with every March and April, they're usually here for a couple months because the people from building the building without going out to the brownstone building. Do you see the building in the back? It's a white building with the four red lights at the top there and the white light. The door curves will light up. We forgot about the harsh heat this whole week that we had here in Chicago. So after 10 years, the winter is serious. There's going to be furnace for the parts of the building so they can replace that beautiful shiny marble. Alright, look over here to your right side of the Swiss Hotel. You guys, I don't know if you can tell, it looks like a triangle. This is Willie Reese. He designed it to look like the bow of a ship. He loves the nautical theme or the front of a boat. Now look in between the Swiss Hotel and the Black Jane Party building. Look in the middle. See the insulated balconies? See how the balconies are all different sizes? Draw your eyes from the top of that building, go all the way down. It looks like a waterfall. It's called the Aqua Building. Judy Gaines is the architect of that building. Also, anybody seen the Netflix series show called The Ozark? What happens in the first episode? What falls out of the building? The body. That's correct. That's where it was filmed, here in Chicago. See, I knew you guys weren't good at Hollywood. Also, Lady Gaga used to date the gentleman that owned the bookhouse up there. That was the guy from NBC Chicago.
Kind of.
Yeah. See, now you guys are excited about the tour. All right, look up in front. You guys, this is a hard one. Now look in the middle. There's a painted light. It looks like a cross at the top. Now look at the very top. 83rd floor. See that dim light that goes all the way around? That's actually a hole in the building. On the 83rd floor, There's a pool. Now this is the largest, smallest residential building in the world, designed by a female architect, Jeannie Gay, from Illinois. I got an architect for something pretty impressive. Now when she built that building, she did not put a hole in that building. What happened? The building was shuddering back and forth in the wind. When a building shudders like that in the wind, eventually the windows will break. She had to remove 2 apartments and remove the whole. Now with her, on the right side of the building, see the construction going on that ladder? That is a private K-12 school. So cost your kindergartner $28,000 a year to send them there. Now look in the middle of the building. You guys see it's kind of designed different. The windows, that is a hotel. It's called the St. Regis Hotel. It's only 32 days old. In fact, you want to rooftop bar, see the light at the top? Then look, you can view the river on that rooftop, or view the lake. Now, if you want to go to the river, it will be $7,000 for about $22, but the service is you want to make the delivery tomorrow? There you go for this service and this all right.
We passed the Swiss Hotel, this triangular building. Look in the gap right between these 2 buildings. You see that building with those wavy balconies. The building is called the Aqua Building. It's designed by a wonderful Chicago architect. Her name is Jeannie Gang. In 2009, when that building was completed, it won an award as the most beautiful residential building in the world. It's not an exaggeration. If you have a chance, walk around that building and see why it won that award. But that building used to be the tallest building in the world, designed by a female architect. Anyway, that building used to be the tallest building in the world, designed by a female architect. It no longer has that distinction, because this big blue wavy building right here is now the tallest building built in the world, designed by a female architect, and it's the same architect, Jeannie Gang. The St. Regis Tower, third tallest building in Chicago, but the tallest building in the world, designed by a female architect. This building is the only building in Chicago that has water-sloshing tuned mass dampers. It's behind the glass cladding at the top, but there are huge water tanks, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. If that tall tower starts oscillating back and forth, the water sloshes just a little bit out of sync with the building, dampens the oscillation of the building. Also, if you look about 15 floors down, there's a gap in the floors there, and that is called a blow-through. And it is exactly what it sounds like. There's nothing there except the elevator shaft. It allows the wind to go blowing right through the building. So between the water sloshing tuned mass dampers and the blow-through, very stable up there. We didn't want people, it doesn't have anything to do with the safety or the structure of the building. We just didn't want people who spend millions of dollars for a condo getting seasick because the building's going back and forth in the wind. Anyway, we're on our way to Lake Michigan, and we got a minute or so to talk a little bit about this river. Chicago River is unique because we actually reversed the flow of the river. In the old days, originally this river flowed in the same direction that we're going right now, towards Lake Michigan. Problem was, in the old days, this was also the sewer for Chicago. Literally everything we didn't want ended up in this river. Chemicals, raw sewage, garbage, animal carcasses, you name it. Horribly polluted, horribly contaminated river. The problem was, it emptied out into Lake Michigan. Give you one guess where we got our drinking water from. Lake Michigan. So Chicagoans are drinking all this horrible, horrible contaminated water. In the 1880s, we lost 10% of our population to cholera and typhoid from drinking this terrible water. Everybody knew we had to fix the water problem. Today, we would clean up the river, the problem would go away. Back then, though, their solution was, we'll continue to pollute the river, we'll just make it go in another direction. We'll make it go away from Lake Michigan rather than into Lake Michigan. So in order to do that, they got the biggest giant canal. They had to connect the south branch to the Slade Street. Now, the Slade runs in the opposite direction. Connects to the Illinois and the Mississippi and then out to the Gulf of Mexico. Gulf of Mexico is at sea level. We're about 700 feet above sea level, so of course water runs downhill. It took 7 years to build this canal, but on January 2nd of 1900, they tore down the berm, the water flowed into the canal, and like magic, the river started flowing in the opposite direction, away from Lake Michigan, not into Lake Michigan. Everybody in Chicago really, really happy. All that dirty water is not going in the lake anymore. Anybody here from St. Louis? Folks from St. Louis were not happy at all. They were getting all of our dirty water now. They sued us. Incredibly, we won the lawsuit. You can continue to send all that stuff down there. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Indiana, the other states that border Lake Michigan, they were not happy either. They said we were taking too much water out of Lake Michigan. So they sued us too. We lost that lawsuit. We had to figure out how to restrict how much water we took out of Lake Michigan. The result of it is right over there, that other boat's in the way, but it's the Chicago Harbor Lock. I could talk forever about the Chicago Harbor Lock, but more importantly, you've got some great shots of the Chicago skyline over here. You're free to move around, but again, don't stand on the chairs, don't stand on the benches. If you fall overboard, we'll have the next boat come and give you. Just kidding. We'll come and get you. Anybody here going to the Beyonce concert later on? Oh, we got part of the beehive back there. Congratulations on getting tickets. As we turn around, this tall, dark building on the left, or on the right rather, it's called Lake Point Towers, and it was designed by two of Mies van der Rohe students, George Shipwright and John Heinrich. They took a plan for a building that Mies van der Rohe had for a building in Berlin that never got built. Changed it a little bit, made it three lobes instead of 4. They made it 70 stories rather than 40 stories. But for years, everybody in Chicago thought Oprah Winfrey lived in this building. The fact is, she actually never ever lived in that building. She lived just south of the John Hancock Center at Water Tower Place. But about 5 years ago, we had a school group, early morning group, a bunch of 5th graders. They were the only ones on the boat. Teacher came up to me and said, you can ask, we're studying Chicago history, you can ask these kids anything you want about Chicago history, don't know the answer. So I thought, well, we'll just see about this. So, all through the tour, I'm hitting him with the most bizarre, off-the-wall questions about Chicago history that I could possibly come up with. Just crazy stuff. All the hands went up. These kids knew all the answers. I mean, they could have given the tour better than me. But I'm over here talking about how everybody thought Oprah Winfrey lived in this building. One little guy raises his hand and says, who's Oprah Winfrey? You knew everything about Chicago. Who would have thought that Oprah Winfrey was the famous something? We were supposed to be getting a giant twisty building called the Chicago Spire. It's supposed to be right over here in this big empty lot. As you can see, it's not being built. The financing fell through. We're proposing a couple residential towers here. So two buildings coming up here, though, Riverview 1 and Riverview 2 by James DiStefano. The first building, the one that has that big round front on it, the first floor, or the top floor and the floor right below the top floor is the penthouse apartment. 9,300 square feet of space. Huge. It has its own full-size basketball court in the unit, has its own full-size handball court in the unit, 16-person hot tub, 16-person sauna, and 3 500-gallon fish tanks. It was for sale for a long time. Finally, somebody bought it, $8.9 million. In this area, there are properties that go for multiples of that. So that was a pretty good deal, especially for all that cool stuff. Just for fun though, I decided to see what a mortgage payment would be on a place like this. So, if you had a spare $890,000 that you could put down as a 10% down payment, put the rest of it on a nice 30-year mortgage. Not including taxes or HOA fees, your monthly payments would be just a little bit over $50,000 a month for the next 30 years. So I was crushed. I thought if I spread it out over 30 years, maybe I could do something. The building coming up here, the Sheraton Chicago Hotel, second largest hotel in Chicago, a Solomon Court Railroad Inn. The fourth floor is the largest grand ballroom in town. When all the retractable doors are opened up, that ballroom will seat 5,000 people in one city. Huge. But about 8 years ago, President Obama was here for a dinner. Secret Service blockaded the river on both sides of the hotel during the dinner. One of our boats had a hard time getting through that lock that we just saw. Got here just a little bit too late. Secret Service won't let them go through. The boat had to sit here for 3 hours while this dinner went on. The captain called the boss. He just said, open up the bar, let people have whatever they want. So it was a big giant party. It wasn't me, but the tour guide on that boat talked for all 3 hours. I would have been, in about 10 minutes, I would have been down at the bar with you guys. I don't have that much material. This big building here should remind you of the 30 Rock building in New York. If you've been to New York, the 30 Rockefeller Center building. That's NBC Tower, 1989 building by Skidmore, Colorado. But NBC wanted their Chicago offices to look like the New York office. So it's not a copy, it's not a duplicate, but it is inspired by the architecture of the 30 Rock building. Well, we can still see it about 2 o'clock on the boat, that building that has that yellow onion-shaped dome at the top of it. The Hotel Intercontinental on Michigan Avenue. But notice that platform next to the dome. The original intent of that platform was to receive guests by blimp. I know, somebody thought, big tall building, really windy city, let's land blimps there. What could possibly go wrong? After the Hindenburg disaster in New Jersey, though, we decided maybe this wasn't such a great idea after all. So actually, no one has ever actually attempted to land a blimp up there. The Glacier Center by Dirk Lohan, Steve Vanderrohe's grandson. The glass building coming up here, though, very, very cool place. This is the new Apple store on Michigan Avenue by Norman Foster Partners of London. As we go by, look at the roof line of the building. Doesn't the roof line remind you of the top of a great big Apple laptop computer? Guys at Apple thought so too. They put a great big Apple logo on the top of that building. So if you look at it from a neighboring building, it looks like one of their computers. The architect found out about it. He said, this is not part of my design. You can't do that. You're cheapening my design. They had to go back up there 4 hours later, take the Apple logo off the top of that building. Today there's no Apple logo there. These are the twin towers of the Wrigley Building, 1922 and 1924. First buildings in Chicago to get air conditioning. Now, as we pull into the dock, take a look at the river. Kind of a grayish-green color. It's the result of the algae that comes in from Lake Michigan. But if you are here on the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day, the river is the brightest, most unnatural shade of green that you can imagine. They dye the river green for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They all started out in the 1950s. Mayor Richard J. Daley, the first dark glass steel, no ornamentation on them at all. He taught architecture here. He was the dean of the School of Architecture at the Illinois Institute of Technology down on the south side. One of the students, though, apparently did not agree with his philosophy of architecture. Bertrand Goldberg, one of these Vanderrohe students, designed Marina City, probably the most photographed building in Chicago. Bertrand Goldberg's philosophy of architecture was, there are no right angles in nature, so there should be no right angles in architecture. You never see a rectangular version, right? All the buildings round, swirly, curvy like this, no right angles. But those buildings were completed in 1967. If you walk around here in 1967, nobody lived downtown. If you had a chance to walk around now, there's thousands of apartments and condominiums